My name is Eve Eisenberg. This is the Community Preservation Committee meeting on September 16th. And we have a quorum of 5 people. We're expecting 2 more. So I think we can get started. I guess I have to start by getting everybody to say their name and where and why they're here or who put them here. So I'll start with Andrew.
Andrew Borman, Planning Board Representative.
Great, thank you. Ed?
Edward Larner, Housing Representative.
Thank you. Matt?
Matt Boger, Concord Recreation Commission.
Excellent. Bert or Lawrence?
Burton Flint, Select Board appointee.
Great. And I am also a Select Board appointee. We have a rather short agenda because we are eagerly anticipating about 1 million applications to come in this Friday. So I think we're going to skip over the minutes and review them next time. I'd like to talk about the fall schedule. That's something we were working on these past couple of weeks. There are a couple of dates up on the calendar right now on the website, which in case you don't have it up, are October 7th for our next meeting, the 11th for our site visits, the November 4th, and then December 2nd. And I have a sneaking suspicion that 3 meetings is not going to be enough, especially since only 2 of them are after the site visits. I don't think we can get all our work done in 2 meetings. So I asked Anne and Heather to take a look at other Tuesdays we might throw on the schedule. And my idea is that we perhaps just put these on the schedule so that people don't get all excited and buy tickets to concerts like I almost did for those Tuesday nights, and then cancel them if we don't need them, which of course is the goal, to have as few meetings as possible. So, Anne, what are those other dates? I forget.
Right. So the Tuesdays that are open are October 14th, October 28th, November 25th, and December 23rd.
November 25th is the week of Thanksgiving, so that might be rough for some people. What do we think of the 5 of us here of November 25th?
Let me just get square. So we've got these are additional meetings to what we already have on the schedule. Is that what we're
That's
looking
right.
at? Or okay,
Yes.
so can we look at, you said we've got a meeting October 7th, and what was the other October meeting?
Yeah, the site visits are Saturday, October 11th, after that meeting.
Okay.
And-
Well,
there are 2 other Tuesdays in October. I was going to pick one of them and then one November Tuesday. The only November Tuesday that works for the town because of holidays and stuff is the 25th, but I think that's Thanksgiving week. So we could just book the heck out of October and just meet we could like set aside 4 Tuesdays in October. I thought that might be overkill. We might want to kill each other.
are we scheduled to meet on the 21st already?
No, the 21st isn't available. So just
Okay.
the 14th and the 28th.
Okay.
And then the 7th, which is already booked for you.
Okay. And somehow I'm looking at my calendar. I am going to be in Chicago and in Wisconsin on the 7th. I don't know how I'm supposed to be in 3 different places at once, but I won't be here for the 7th.
People are just magical, Burton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diane, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Oh, Diane Proctor, Select Board. I thought my clock is off. I thought it was exactly 7, but I'm obviously 5 minutes late. I apologize.
Oh, it's all good. We're, nothing if not punctual around here. Sorry, Burton, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I can do the 14th and the 28th of October.
Of October? Okay. Diane, we're just adding a couple dates because right now our calendar only shows 2 meetings after we get the applications and go to.
I figured out what we were doing. Yep, I can
Oh,
tell.
very good, very good. So if you have any anything to say about these other Tuesdays, Anne, would you mind repeating them again? I'm going to write it down this time so I don't have to ask you a 3rd time.
Sure. It's October 14th, October 28th, and then there's also November 25th and December 23rd.
Yeah, I'm not going to do December 23rd,
Yeah.
but I think we could look at these other 3. Maybe we just pop in those 3 Tuesdays and we'll cancel them as we go. Does that sound okay for everybody? We don't have to really discuss it ad nauseum.
I think that would be good, and especially if we front load it in October, because then if we're canceling the ones that are closer to the holidays. I think that would be good.
Okay. Is that all right, Anne? We'll do that?
Yes.
Okay,
Sure.
not December 23rd, but the other ones.
Okay.
Can't we do November 4th? I know it's election day, but I mean, I think
I think that one's on the calendar already. That's one of the 2 meetings we do have.
in November, okay.
No, we just have one November meeting right now and one October meeting. No, yeah, and our only October meeting is before the site visits. So we can spend that meeting dividing up the applications, all 1 million. And then the 11th, we can visit the sites, and then we'll have the 4th of November to talk about it. And then December, and that's right now all we have. So we're talking about populating the calendar with a couple more Tuesdays.
You're talking about the 7th, the 14th, and the 28th?
Yes.
The 7th, the 14th, and the 28th, that's correct.
Okay.
So I'm
You have-
sorry, Saturday, October 11th is the site visit on Saturday?
That's right. Yeah, it's in the morning. Does that work for you, Matt?
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that one, but, which is too bad. Are there minutes or something? How is that addressed?
They're not minutes,
There's
but
no, yeah.
we could fill, go ahead, Bert.
Well, because it's not technically a meeting, we don't actually discuss the projects. It is, so there won't be minutes that come out of it. I will say it's the best day of the year for a Concordian who gets to serve on the CPC, because we get to, I mean, it's the funnest part of being on the CPC, Matt. But I appreciate it's a busy probably fall sports schedule. You've got, I'm realizing there, my daughter's going to be at a way cross country meet on Cape Cod that day, but I would never forgo the opportunity to drive Diane Proctor around town and see the more exciting parts of unknown parts of Concord.
I
But
You will,
it's essentially an opportunity to see the proposed projects in person, up close, and ask questions of the applicants.
And Matt, I think any one of us would be happy to then hop in a car with you later, take you to a couple of sites and discuss what we saw with you, if you would like to. So let us know.
It's a
Also,
date,
you will be-
Diane. It's a date, Diane. I appreciate that. Thank you.
you'll be partnered up with a person on any applications, and you can discuss the application with that person one-on-one if you want. And they'll tell you what the site visit meant to them, okay? Okay, Anne, would you like to talk about the conflict of interest reminder?
Sure, and also, did you want to mention the
Oh, my
regional
goodness,
meeting?
yes.
Is it October 9th?
Oh,
Oh, the regional meeting with
Oh.
Sagamore at the Carlisle Town Hall. We think it's
Yes.
gonna be October 9th, is that right?
Stuart Sagamore is going to talk to us in Carlisle, and we'll send out an email about that, but it's on the evening of October 9th. Actually, he's going to send an email about that, isn't he?
That's right, yeah, I haven't
He
seen
has
it.
all of your email addresses now, so just so as you know, we did that.
And
May I
unfortunately,
ask one just question? I apologize. Are we meeting on the 30th of September as well? Is that on the schedule?
no,
Okay, I just wanted to check because it isn't on mine and I just wanted to make sure. Nor on the 23rd, right?
right.
Okay. Of
I think there
September.
are conflicts on those dates.
All
And
right, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it on the site visit day. And we looked into the date of October 18th instead, but it seems as if many of you can't make it. So yeah, I'm not essential, but you all are, so I'll miss it.
Hey, Anne, do you want to talk about your amazing chart?
Oh, well, Eve had suggested that we look at sort of the whole year, just to give people an overview, and I found that old chart, from like 2017 and just updated it today so that you can see, when we find out about how much money you all have, and also, and that's usually in mid-November, and also when the draft warrant articles are due, and I think that was January 9th. So that just gives you a sense of, how much time you have to make these decisions. Last year, it was kind of a leisurely pace because town meeting was so late, but we're back to, we're probably going to have a lot of applications this year, and the schedule is crunched.
Do you want to pull it up on your screen? I could also do that.
Sure.
But I just want, especially for Matt and Jeff, who's not here, that's great, to be able to see the visual of how our year goes.
And where is that online? I didn't see it, so I'm looking for it right now, but
It's on current meeting documents. I just added it today. So that's
Oh,
why I
okay.
didn't see it, but just give me a minute to bring it up.
And Matt, while he's bringing it up, since you're new to the process, what I would emphasize is that October and November are by far the busiest time for the committee in a typical year, because we get the applications in September, and then we need to essentially have a recommendation prior to the end of year holidays, to be able to create a draft meeting article in time for the beginning of the second week of January. Last year, like you said, it was a slower process because of the delayed town meeting going into June, but this is our busy season, which unfortunately coincides with, everybody's busy fall season, but it's a little bit of a sprint. So it looks like a busy schedule, but then we get the summers off.
And I tried to put sort of the CPC actions up on top and then more of the staff actions down at the bottom. But this is sort of the big date, is when the draft warrant articles are due. So, and we find out again from the finance division exactly how much money would be available at town meeting. So, in mid-November. So it's really just the month of December to make your votes on recommendations.
And do you have a sense of how many applications we've received so far?
So far, I believe it is 6.
6. Okay, and we've just got till the end of this week.
Right. And
Okay.
that's all from the planning division. So that's
From the planning division. Okay.
Good.
So Matt, the way this will work is by the end of this week, we'll have received all the applications, and shortly thereafter, Anne will publish them on the website. And so you'll be able to go and take a look at them. And we will then, at our first meeting, divvy up, essentially, you'll, depending on how many, as a member, you'll get, let's say, 1 to 3 applications to sort of be the point on with one other person on the committee. And then you would be the person that might get the first opportunity to ask questions of the applicant when they come before us, because each applicant will have an opportunity to present to the committee. If we're on the site visit, you might be the one asking more questions, but it's not essential that you be there. And then shortly thereafter, after we've considered each application, we will get our numbers, figure out how many of the applications we can consider, whether any need a haircut, whether any should be excluded entirely, and then we vote on it. We sort of look at the numbers and come up with a recommendation. And I'm sorry, Eve, if you were going to run through that. Matt had reached out to me separately and asked for a little bit more background on how the committee works. So
I'm happy to have you do that for sure. And just to drive that point home, on the 7th, we would divide up those applications, and although we could get them and look at them beforehand, by the 11th, we're supposed to basically know what they say to be on the site visits. If you're going to be at the site visits, it's nice to really know your applicants by that time. So it is a sprint. Thank you, Burton, for that summary. I wish I could have, well, I actually have it recorded, don't I? So I gotta go back and memorize that for later.
Right. And we should have the applications available for you all like nenext week. So you can start looking at them right away.
Would you send out an email, Anne, when they're available to be? I like the paper. As you know, I can't see my desk, but it's covered with paper here. And I would like to pop by and pick them up in paper if possible.
Absolutely.
I would too. I vastly prefer to have them in paper. Thank you.
Okay, just send us an email when they're ready, and we'll come and get them.
Will do.
Cool. Okay, thank you for all that scheduling information, and a reminder on how our process works. The next thing we were going to talk about is the conflict of interest reminder. And I wonder if this is because of me. I don't really know.
No.
But do you want to remind people about the conflict of interest, Anne?
Right. We just do this every year at this time, right before the applications come out. And, I'll have handouts. If I were there on Saturday, or I can probably put a handout actually in with your applications too, just as a reminder, if you feel as if there could be an actual conflict of interest or a perceived conflict of interest, there's a whole process for sharing that.
Yeah, and that reminder is online as well. And I read it myself and feel the need to confess that my firm works with Russ Karlstadt, which is he's the director of the facilities department for Concord. And I asked Russ if any of our projects were going to apply for CPC funds, and he said, no, they can't because of various reasons. They don't fit in any of our categories. So that's not really a conflict of interest, but my office works with the town on a lot of projects. So there you have that. And I'm
And-
also bugging Ann about it all the time.
And
Separate-
I suspect Wright Tavern will apply for some funding, and I'm on their board, so I will have to recuse myself from that. So,
But so Diane, I would encourage you to take a look at that conflict of interest policy, because it does specifically talk about if you're on a nonprofit that has an application, it's not automatic. Well, actually, I guess if you're on the board, I think it does say you're a
I
recusal.
thought it was, I read it.
Yeah.
I looked at it, Burton, and I think
Yeah.
I do have to
Yeah.
recuse myself from that one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because it says if you're on the board, it
says if
said
you're
if
on
you're
the
a paying
board, you-
member. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
no, yeah.
That's going to apply to me as well on the Concord Museum. I think they're going to be applying for some funds.
Oh,
Okay.
good. We're gonna have a big fall. Okay. Okay, well, you all can go and refamiliarize yourself with that policy if you like.
And it also probably just makes sense to touch base especially as we're headed to the site visit on the open meeting law stuff. You know, two committee members can discuss something one-on-one, but we can't have a group discussion, both in person and via email. And that really comes into play in the site visits, because the site visits is not an official public meeting, because that would become incredibly unwieldy. So while we can ask questions of the applicants, we're not to discuss amongst the committee members the merits of an application.
Yep, thank you. Actually, that's a good reminder. Oh, Ed, what have you got? Can you turn on your volume, please?
This afternoon I read that short summary of the conflict of interest, and the thing that I took away from it is if you're acting as a private, for a private interest versus being on a board and acting for a public interest, the private interest would be a conflict of interest, but not the public. So that Diane, she shouldn't feel like she can't, participate in the discussions and so forth just because she's on the board.
Oh, that's not how I read it. Well, I will go back and look at it again. Thank you, Ed.
Sure.
Okay. Well, we have John Kratzley here who's eagerly awaiting our vote. And I want to make sure that we get to that so that he can feel fulfilled with his legacy here. This is tiny portion of his legacy. That's so funny. But did everybody get a chance to read the out of cycle applications amended with this red text? Everybody get a chance to read that? Because I
did.
would to vote on that if possible. Yeah.
I would, well, subject to anybody who wants to discuss it, given that we discussed it at our last meeting, and I think the edits accurately reflect the discussion, I would make a motion that we approve the amendments to our, which is that document called? I always forget. It's a procedures manual, as proposed.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Yeah, all right. All in favor? I guess we have to do a roll call, don't we? Okay, Ed,
I'm going to abstain.
abstain. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Andrew,
Yes.
Matt,
In favor.
Bert,
I'm in favor.
Diane, where'd you go, Diane? Hello? Oh, no, Diane. Oh, well, I'm in favor as well, but I think we need a quorum and we don't have a quorum
we-
if Ed abstains and
So-
Diane needs to come back.
I think as long as you have a quorum to open the meeting, I think any vote that's valid is okay. That's my understanding of how the quorum works, unless I'm
I thought we
mistaken.
needed, I really don't know. Hey, Ann, do you?
I'm
thank you.
no, I'm terribly sorry. I've been having a little bit of a tummy thing, so I had to leave for just a second, and my vote is yes.
Okay.
You know what we're voting on?
Yes, I do. I've been following it. I carried us into, you don't want to know where I went. But
Okay,
the-
okay, great.
Yeah, never mind.
That works for me. If that works for everyone else, then I think, John, you can rest easy that this change has been made.
Well, thank you all. It is a project that goes back to a time when we had that very embarrassing, one vote differential on the facilities building. And this, I think, just gives us a lot. It gives us a bit more flexibility for projects that are not land purchases, but are other kinds of emergency situations. So great,
Yeah.
glad it's done.
John,
Thank you, John. I want to
have
thank
learned-
you
wait,
for,
I just want to say I've learned so much from you over the years on this committee. And this is hardly your only legacy there. It is vast and innumerable. So,
Well,
yes,
you're
thank you,
very
Diane.
kind. I certainly found that, I'd say particularly to Matt and Andrew, although I know Andrew's back for a second round, it's a very satisfying experience to
Yeah.
look at these grants and see how we can make the town better for everyone. So thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you
And-
for
and-
working on this, and I appreciate the confirmation.
If I can just squeeze in, John, I think I said something in the last meeting, but thanks for shepherding this change through. I think it was important as a person who got to fill your seat when you moved to CPC on the planning board. That was my entree onto the planning board, which was great, which then following in your footsteps, going to the CPC was incredibly satisfying. So I really appreciate,
Oh, well,
even though my feet were much smaller in those footsteps than yours, I appreciate the inspiration. So thank you.
no, I wish you all every success. I think you've got a big challenge ahead, but a very
Yeah.
important role.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, John. I also want to thank Elizabeth Hughes for her contribution to our amendment there too. John did like 3 versions of this and that was awesome. And then she helped at the very end.
Yeah, it's the word if that makes it not exclusive to land.
right.
And
Exactly.
Elizabeth added a couple other requirements that she thought were important. Anyway, thanks again. I appreciate all of you supporting this.
Thanks,
Thank
John.
you, John.
Okay, so it's actually number 4 on our agenda, but it's not a small topic. I would like to talk about the extension requests that Anne has received in preparation for possibly a longer discussion at our next meeting. Maybe, I don't know, or if we're having that longer discussion now, I'm not sure. Anne, take it away. Yes, this is the longer discussion.
Right, so I wasn't really prepared to speak about this because it's not my project, and I would suggest that you invite Delia Kay here if you would like someone to speak about the project, but I can certainly bring up the letter that we received, which I hope you all reviewed. So it's we had sent out a request for extension for quite a number of projects that had gone beyond the 30 month deadline. Asking for extension requests, and I suggested, either by this date or by October 7th, just knowing that people are also preparing their grant applications. So this is the one that we received. Actually, we received another one just today from Concord Housing Development Corporation, but this one we received, right away in August. And this is, I think, the one that you all have been paying close attention to. So
Did
I-
everybody get
Is
a
the
chance to
other one
read
on the website yet?
not yet. No, it just
Okay, because I didn't see one. Okay, thank you. Okay.
it? Okay, so is this the first time that people are seeing this then?
I saw it in advance of the meeting.
I did too. I mean, I thought that it went out in an email, but I could be wrong.
It did.
I have a few questions, and I think in short, it would be very helpful to have Delia Kay come before the meeting. I guess we've got, and if it's appropriate, maybe I'll just run through my thoughts.
Yeah, please do. I mean, I have a thought too, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
Well, so this is from a funding application that was from the 2019 cycle. There's 2 other applications that were approved related to Warner's Pond dredging or restoration, one in 2020, one in 2024. I guess the one from 2024 can still sit out there, though, given the change in scope of what they're doing, maybe it shouldn't. But I guess this letter is asking for an extension for the 619 application. So I'm wondering, well, what about the other 2 for the additional funds? The other thing I would raise is that this is specific to improving the boat launch, and I did get some feedback from Jeff Collins, who, of course, a member of this committee, but also was on the task force, and he was unable to be here today because he's about 6 hours ahead of us right now. But his feedback was that while the task force did recommend making improvements to the boat launch, any such improvements should be made to the extent that they would be a good investment, regardless of the ultimate decision on what to do with the pond, whether that's dredging, dam removal, or something else. For folks that aren't super familiar with White Pond, it's largely a very shallow pond, especially in the area right in front of where this boat launch is. And I think if the dam was removed, I have a hard time understanding what the boat launch would accomplish at that point, because I think that it would be opening up onto a wetland as opposed to the potential deeper area in front of the Giroux Park. So I'd like to hear from Delia on that. And that, again, that was something that Jeff raised to confirm that any boat launch improvements would not essentially lock the White Pond into one outcome or another following the White Pond Task Force recommended essentially a 5-year study period, is my understanding, with various, looking at different options. And if they determine at the end of 5 years that dam
Are you
removal
saying White
makes most
Pond or
Yeah,
Warner's
I
Pond?
feel like.
Warner Pond,
Okay.
I'm sorry,
I was
Warner
gonna say,
Pond. I
thank you,
misspoke.
thank you,
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, 2 ponds that start with a W. Warner Pond, they looked at a 5-year study period, and that at the end of that, it may be that they determined that it makes sense to remove the dam, and that it wouldn't make sense to spend money on a boat launch unless that boat launch would also have a function if that was the outcome.
Okay, that's I know a little bit more about this, but I'm gonna let Diane speak first. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm
Diane.
glad to hear people who know more than I do, but I was concerned about this for the same reason that Burton is. I mean, I don't think it's clear what the Warner Pond adjudication is, and I can't imagine. I mean, I keep wondering how a boat launch makes sense, given the fact that it may be too shallow. And so I'm confused about the reason for the extension and would really feel like we need to hear very carefully, why this might happen. But that is perhaps born of a lack of knowledge. But so I look forward to hearing what you have to say, Eve.
Oh my, a lot of pressure. Well, no, I appreciate this because I had all the same questions as well, and we definitely are going to ask. And I would love to see if Delia has a minute free to come talk to us about this, because I did not understand before, because I thought that we're working on designs for some kind of boat launch from Giroux Pond, and I was getting confused about all the different boat launches going on. But in fact, this boat launch does exist. It is the boat launch with which the Boy Scouts get to their island, apparently. And it is in terrible, terrible state of disrepair. And my understanding is, and again, we're going to ask Delia first, is that this boat launch will stay no matter what happens to the pond, because it is how the Boy Scouts get to their island, which they own, I think. But we can ask her more about that. And we're not going to vote on this at all today. It's just a beginning of a discussion. But I also want to float the idea of maybe taking the money that was meant for dredging, that's left over from this after you remove whatever boat launch improvement funds are needed, which Delia can comment on, and putting it in a reserve for recreation open space, perhaps to be used later. It's just an idea. So that those funds could stay there and maybe be used at another time. Andrew, are you raising your hand?
Yeah, kind of. I also had some additional questions about like where the number came from, because I was trying to come up with the 220. It looks like 220 was actually an initial capital request, and now she's asking for more money on the extension. So I'm confused. Can that even work?
Yeah.
Based on CPC rules, I'm not sure. And then additionally, based on Burton's comment about there being a 5-year study plan, how a 30-month extension would actually get us to work being done, regardless of, if they all said pencils down for 5 years, the 30-month extension doesn't even get you that far. So I'm not sure how you can even justify the request if it's not possible based on what the current marching orders are. So that was just the two kind of points that I saw right off the top without having any deeper discussion about it.
Well, which is why we can ask Delia to come and talk about the 2,000 or 220,000 plus 44,000 number. And it also might be a reason that we ask to return the remainder of the 500,000 dredging money into a reserve for recreation and open space. You know, and then, you know, there's the question, what Burton brought up about the other grants that were awarded for Warner's Pond and what's going on there. I don't think, Ann can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that they're up for an extension request. I think they're still within their time period. Is that right, Ann? Or did I screw up?
One was 2020, so it should be up for an extension request. I think that means it was, the grant agreement would have been 2021. Is that correct, Ann? Is that how the numbering goes?
I have it here too.
Yes, that's right. So one of them was for dredging, and that one is past the 30-month deadline, and
So
there-
that
we
comes-
received a request for that one, but then the other one is within the 30-month deadline, and that was not for dredging, it was for Warner's Pond restoration, and that's the pool of money that has been tapped into for all of the Warner's Pond consulting. So that's an active project. And I assume that it would stay active once the Warner's Pond Task Force is formed.
Yeah, but there's clearly a lot of questions here. Diane, do you want to
Yeah, I
comment?
was just going to say, my presumption has been that at some point, as we were looking at various projects, we would sit down and really look at the aggregate amount of money that has been amassed for Warner's Pond and adjudicate what part of it is appropriate to go forward and which part of it is appropriate to pull back. However we do that legally, pull back into CPC recreation funds or just CPC funding, with an anticipation that if there is another move, that then there would be a reapplication. I mean, it seems to me, it seems to me, I mean, inappropriate seems such a strong word, but it does seem to me, okay, inappropriate to just presume that since that money is there, that they can just go ahead and use it for any change of plan or re-adjudication of their own perspective. And I think that doesn't serve the town well, and it doesn't serve our committee well from my perspective. So that's just my sense.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think that the fiscal year 22 and the fiscal year 24 applications are not, I mean, if we treat the rec department as any other applicant, then they get to have their 30 months to think it through and to continue trying to spend it.
I'm not arguing with that one,
Yeah.
Steve. I'm just saying that we have in the aggregate a lot of money tied up.
For sure. Yeah.
Years
and-
ago, tied up in the dredging and everything else of the pond. And my presumption is that we would be revisiting that as we looked at the new applications, but.
Yeah, well, that dredging money comes up a lot in town meeting, and a lot of other people keep talking about the dredging money. And so this is, I think, her Delia's idea for what might happen with that dredging money, that we might extend a portion of it for the boat launch improvements, and she can come and explain that. And that the rest of it, I'm suggesting that we reclaim into a reserve. But anyway, Burton?
Well, I would just add, as somebody that has used that boat launch to go and camp on Scout Island, and it was in a degraded state back in 2019 when we considered this project. I've walked down it recently. It's in about the same state. I mean, it works for what the Scouts use it for. You know, there's limited parking. The pond is all of about 18 inches deep, so it's more of a, you don't paddle across the pond so much as you pole across the pond with your, you know, I mean, it's really, I mean, that pond is really
That's
filled in,
skiff.
but yeah, it's a skiff. I think that there were this committee, when we considered making the improvements there, this was before Giroux Park opened, and when we were considering that the pond would be dredged, including immediately in front of this boat launch, I question whether the town should be spending $240,000+ on an improvement to a pond that now has we just expended funds to plan a boat launch from Giroux. And which you could use to access Scout Island, but also given the lingering questions about the future of the pond. This is really a discussion for when Delia is here, but I think that we're going to there's going to be a lot of other worthwhile things to spend money on that might not be as controversial as improving a boat launch for a pond whose future is uncertain.
I love that point that you could get to the Scout Island from the other boat launch. I didn't even know that. And I'm counting on you to keep a pin in that thought and to bring it up for to Delia, because that's good. It's a good one. And it's too bad that Bill Camisa is not here to try to talk to us about this too. But
So what do they do in Cambridge? They punt, right? What we need are some punting boats.
no.
Never mind. I'm sorry.
Okay. Anything else, Burton?
No, oh, no, I'm going to lower my hand.
Okay. It's funny, Anne, when you brought that letter up as the first thing, that's not what I thought the first thing was going to be. I thought we were going to talk more about other projects that came back in with extension requests, but it sounds like maybe you didn't get any other projects coming back for extension requests aside from the one that came today. Is that possible that nobody's paying any attention to our extension request?
No, I think they are paying attention, but
Okay, good.
they also have a deadline, for the applications, which is this Friday. So I think it's just a lot to ask of people, to come up with all of this at once. So
Yeah,
they're
it's
gonna take
true.
advantage
That's
of
true.
the extra time and come in before October 7th.
I certainly hope all the people who need extension requests are not applying for additional applications with our next cycle, but we'll see. I guess we're going to see what comes in with that. Okay. So to be postponed, I think, just with a discussion with Delia, and we'll see if she has an application in too. That might be perfect timing to talk to her about all of this at once. Okay, that is it for our official agenda, unless anyone else on the committee want to bring something up about their conflict of interest or personal vacations or anything. Anyone? Yes, Diane.
I would like to have somebody from who in our committee is on the natural resources.
That's Bill. He couldn't make it at the last minute to this meeting. And
That was who? I'm sorry.
Bill
Bill
Camisa.
Camisa.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bill. Okay, because I would like to have a kind of a formal report from the Natural Resources Committee to our committee about their thinking, their adjudication, and their contemplative sensibility about how they're going to go forward. Because I think, at least I've been dealing with a lot of, oh, did you hear they were doing this? Or I heard they were doing that. And I would really like to hear, rather than the rumors are from Delia, I'd like to hear from that committee head itself, what their thinking has been, what their final adjudication has been, and maybe even in writing so that we can read through it and understand their position, because I think that anchors us, not in rumor, but in a very clear sensibility for how they would like to move forward. That's just, others may think that's not appropriate, but I think it's very important. So
Yeah,
Diane, are
I
you
agree with you for sure that rumors are not great at this point. But I have to say that Delia is on she goes to all of those meetings, so she is a good representative to talk to about this stuff. And I'm also not 100% sure that they did get a clear directive out of their study, but we'll hear more about that from her.
if they
are
did,
you
I'd
wondering,
like
Diane, specifically
ahead.
about Warner's Pond? Is that
just partly about Warner's Pond, Burton, but there's been some
Okay.
other things that they've been discussing. But of course, my focus
okay?
Warner's Pond, but I just like to hear what they've decided, because I hear one thing from one group, I hear something else from another group. And I don't want to leave it with Delia. I mean, because she knows what she's doing. Of course she does. But I think it's from the commission, I think it is itself, what they are saying about Warner's Pond and its future right now in terms of what they're doing. They can do this very succinctly, or they could write something to us. But I'd like to have a uniform clarity in our own minds before we go forward. But maybe I'm the only one that needs it, but I do feel I need it.
Have you seen the task force report that they've reported out?
I have not.
What I would recommend, and I haven't spent a lot of time with it, and this is not the Natural Resources Commission, it's the Warner's Pond Task Force. But if you go
Right.
onto the town and board committee section of the town website and look under the Warner's Pond Task Force, they did issue a final report. Now, the final report, having looked at it, suggests that after much study, they've agreed that more study is needed.
Yes.
And not to be flip, but they want some more input and they want a period to look at it. And so you may not quite get the clarity that you're looking for, but I would just recommend starting with that.
Actually, I realized I did look at that. I looked
Oh,
at that
okay.
a while ago, and
Yeah.
it left me wondering, okay, so what does this mean? I mean, I would
Yes.
just like an opportunity for us to have that discourse and
Mhm.
clarify any confusions we have and just kind of get those things out in the open so that we can proceed without kind of anything whispering in our ears that is anything but straightforward. But I would just feel more comfortable. And I don't think that's an unusual thing to ask.
No, I mean, I
No,
think that's why Bill is supposed to be on our committee. You
I know that.
well, Bill and fortunately Jeff Collins, who was also on the task
Right, I
force.
was
and
gonna say, I think
we just
Jeff is also
we
very
just
involved, so.
had bad luck. We didn't have two of probably the most expert people on, in town to speak to it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and wouldn't it be wonderful if they could summarize their thoughts in a succinct letter and send it to us? But I haven't read the report either, although I've got it in front of me now, and hopefully I'll get around to it.
I remember looking at it almost a month ago, and I'm afraid I'm rather foggy, except I left thinking, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go into this with a huh? I want to go into this a little greater clarity. It could be just my confusion, but I would just feel better if we were all on the same page. So,
And
Yeah.
and I believe the report was for the consideration of the NRC. And we were waiting for that vote, so I'm not sure if that's taken place or not.
oh,
Okay.
thank you. And I thought there was a final. Okay, and now I feel less. Yes, thank you. That's also what I thought. Okay.
I found out before our last meeting that I was supposed to have mentioned this, that the select board has goals that are published now. And every committee chair is supposed to look at these goals and decide how their committee could help support the select board with their goals. And actually, Keith reminded me of this. He's on our phone call right now. And he was really good at actually drawing a connection between the housing trust and the select board goals. But I have to admit that I am not so good at that, other than supporting Keith and the two housing goals on the select board goals. I really don't see any direct link to what we're doing, but maybe after we get our applications, it will become more clear how we can support oh, hey, perfect. Hi, Mary.
Hi. I'd like to suggest that maybe when you're evaluating the applications, you want to
Exactly.
see, okay, you see where I was going. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping, that's what I was about to say, that I'm hoping that when the applications get there, there will be one or two that clearly, shouts out to this list.
Exactly.
DEI, financial management, I'm not sure, but definitely maybe some land use development,
Yes.
the sustainability.
Yes.
But I don't know about the civility and tolerance and inclusion section, but we'll see.
You don't know what right. Wait and see what you get.
Wait and
Okay.
see what we get, exactly.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Burton, were you going to say something and I cut you off?
Oh, no, I was going to say, if you're wondering about the select board goals, we had Mary on. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. And she shouted.
And
which is good.
magically she appears.
Voila. Okay, do we have any public comments or anything I should say from yeah.
Actually, thanks, Eve. I've got a question. Again, I'm a liaison to many committees and I hear a lot of people talking about applications. And I just wanted to get a feel for, do you know roughly how much money you're going to have to allocate, assuming that the surcharge comes in at the 1.8 like it did last year? So have you put out any guidance as far as how the total funds you expect to have available?
Unfortunately, the best thing that I have is actually what Keith has, and Keith presented.
Okay,
the
I know what
housing
Keith has.
roundtable. Yeah.
I know what Keith has.
Anne sent Keith sent Anne, I think, a letter who then responded with what her best knowledge was, and he published that at the housing roundtable.
I got it.
I don't have any secret anythings outside of that, unfortunately.
Oh, I do. No.
Oh, Diane knows.
Eve, what was that number? Was that, I'm guessing, around $3 million?
Oh, geez. I have it. Let's see. I have Keith's agenda. Keith, please help. Or do you remember?
It's about 3.5 million.
3.5. Okay.
Yeah, it's in Keith's spreadsheet right here, and it would take me 35 seconds to go get it, but
I've got it, Eve. Do you want me to read what
yeah,
I've
go for it.
scribbled down on a piece of paper here? There's 3,141,000 that's unreserved. There's 103,000 that's in a historic preservation reserve, and there's 250,000 in an open space reserve. So that comes out to be close to 3.4 million.
Yeah, with some of that.
And
being
that's
reserved.
based upon a guesstimate of the state match for this year.
Of 1.8 million, which
Yep.
you got last year, which I think is a very conservative estimate. So, yeah.
So 1.8 being the property tax surcharge plus the state match together.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about,
I feel like we never really know until we get that money from the state.
no.
And
I mean,
then
every year
and
we
then we
get guidance.
can ground ourselves and anchor ourselves. I mean, we have a general guidance, but I mean, I think, am I wrong, Burton?
No, we have a general idea. I mean, it's,
general
you know,
idea.
we know each year that it generally goes down as a percentage, except for last year because there was a special allocation. I don't know, because of the, you know, the millionaire's tax or whatever. There was additional funds that were put towards it as a special grant, but we're generally going down to, you know, from about 22% to 18% of a match. And we're in that ballpark.
Yeah, this is Keith's slides, and at the bottom of the slide, he does say exactly what Mary just read off.
Yeah,
Okay.
good. Okay, I was just pressure testing that. So that's
Oh, great.
it's good to hear. Thank you.
I mean, long and short of it, Mary, it's about 75% more than we've ever allocated in a given year.
The word's
Uh,
out. The word is
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, we might need more meetings.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
Okay.
both exciting but it adds to a sense of fiscal responsibility on our part. Not to see this as, oh, a boondoggle, let's go spend it, but to see it again is just to deal with it with exceptional care. That's all. I don't have to say that to this group because we always do, but I'm just saying it for the record.
As a new member, does one have to utilize all those funds?
No.
No.
Right.
No.
We have to use a certain percentage, Matt, in each of the various areas. And we have, for instance, a deficit right now in terms of percentage spent on historical preservation.
Yeah,
So,
we're required to spend 30% of it.
30%.
Yeah, 30%, 10 in each of the 3 categories, right?
Oh, I'd never thought of it that way, but of course, yeah, that makes sense. 10% of our surcharge or the total funds available that year? I'm trying to
Oh,
remember.
excellent question. I don't know the answer to that.
I think it's probably total. I think,
I
well,
thought it was the total, but go ahead.
I think it's a total. We looked at this last year when we had to come up with the historic preservation set aside, but it's a total. So yeah, it would be a minimum of 30%. But Matt, that doesn't actually necessarily mean it needs to be actually expended on a particular project. So for example, last year we came up less than 10% on historic preservation. So what we do in that case is we do a set aside that says we're going to take the balance of that 10% and it's going to be put in a fund that can only be used for historic preservation going forward. So it's sort of a
Or housing or
Yeah.
recreation.
I mean,
yeah,
that's what
depending
I
on-
thought I said, but I guess I didn't. And you're right. Yes, exactly. Fantastic. Okay.
Okay. Well, Linda or anyone else have anything else they want to say? Because I'm running out of agenda here.
I'm good. Thank you for all you're doing.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Well, until October, what is it? October, oh boy, here we go. When's our next meeting? Where is it?
7th.
Oh, yeah. We've got October 7th coming up. That's great. We didn't have a huge meeting today. We had to push our minutes to the next meeting, but we did talk about the fall schedule, our conflict of interest reminder, our out of cycle applications and the extension request. So that's not too bad.
No, this was-
I guess I'll see
it
you all
was
next month.
beautifully managed, Jeeve. Thank you so much.
If I could just add, just because it took me a while to get used to the cadence of this committee, but especially for Matt, this is the big homework assignment for the next one is when we're, all these applications are going to come in and it could be in excess of 100 pages of documentation. And it's super important for it to be an efficient meeting and to ask good, smart questions at our next meeting and probably 3 or 4 after that to have gone through those applications. So set aside a Sunday afternoon for that sometime after this Friday.
Also, Burton, can you say that to Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
pass the word.
Anne, are you going to be, do we need to come into the town, to the offices to pick that up? Or are you going to be bringing it by or what is the protocol?
Yes, we'll have copies ready in the office at 141 Kais Road.
Okay.
Great.
And I'll also post them up onto the website. And if there's if you want me to email them, I could do that too.
You just let us know when the copies are available. That would be great.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool, everybody. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you next month.